April 15th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we talk about Aerobiz, Yoshi's Cookie, and Gemfire.
Let's do this.
I was playing some of that Wesnoth on the train today.
Some of that there, Wesnoth?
Some of that there Wesnoth, eh?
Yeah, we talked about the game a long time ago. I think it's still the best open source game
Ever.
It's still a good game since we talked about it, and actually they've made a lot of changes to it for the better.
I like how the skeletons will juggle their own heads if they're bored.
Yeah, they added graphical changes, little animations to all the sprites, but they've also made a lot of game changes, and I think it's definitely, if it was good before, it's pretty good now.
Now, we had an official Front Row Crew server for Wesnoth that was being managed by Alex. It was used a lot, like a crazy lot, for a couple weeks way back in the day, and then it kind of fell into disrepair, but it's back in a big way. So,
Yep.
We've talked about the show before. Go find the old episode, but you've never heard of Battle for Wesnoth, like W-E-S as in Wes, and then Noth as in a Noth.
N-O-T-H. Yeah, I mean, you can always tell a good game because some games you'll play, you'll finish, you put them down, they're gone forever, Some games, like, you pick them up and you put it on in 5 minutes. And some games, they just they might not, might put them down, but you'll go back to them again later at some point in the future, maybe a month or two, and you keep coming back repeatedly. You don't stick with them for a long time at any, but you'll play it, not play it, play it, not play it. And I think that shows you when a game is got some quality going on. And Wesnoth is that kind of game.
So check it out, download it, and remember, there's an FRC server you can play against each other.
Wesnoth.frontworker.com.
Something like that.
Just point your Wesnoth game, go to multiplayer, say join server, type Wesnoth.frontworker.com, push enter.
Maybe post in the forum, and I'll warn you, though, some of the people in the forums are pretty good.
Not me.
Oh, yeah, Scott and I, not so good.
No, we suck. Of course, I won one game, and I semi-won another game, just because what ends up happening is there's two good players, and then maybe a bad player, and then me, right? Who's sort of I'm not terrible, but I'm not good, right? So the good players end up fighting each other, and I just sort of like turtle up and slowly build up my resources and just sort of hold fast. And then eventually when one of them decimates the other, I swoop in like a vulture, and then somehow I sort of technically win.
One way to do that is to be the undead, right? And you build a couple of strong defensive units to stand nearby you.
You build a bajillion zombies.
You build a few bats to keep flying around, like grab a city, run away, grab a city, run away. But you make sure you have a positive income, and then every round you build as many zombies as you can and just make a sea of them. Yeah. And then when you figure it's time, just slowly start marching them.
I would just have a line of zombies the way you do a line of mechs in...
Or a line of fanatics in Civ 2.
Yeah.
But I'd like to talk about another game real quick. I'd like to give this game the old nail through the heart, because I think it's over, for most of you at least. But a lot of you were playing Icarium.
Oh, you want to bring that up?
I want to bring that up because this happens more often than you'd expect in the Front Row Crew, where everyone will get it like, hey, check this game out. And Scott will say, oh, I'll play it. And people start to play it. But Rim always says, hey, I don't know about that game. Always says, that game's not going to be good. You won't be playing that game after a week.
I didn't say I was going to be playing the game after a week.
But there were other times where that was the case, like Mech Warrior Mage Knight.
That's one case. Name another one. I recall
very specific. Icarium.
Name another one.
Anyway.
That's it, isn't it? You only got two.
It's more than one.
You're
Plus,
like, oh, it's a big trend. No, it's two.
That's just with Scott. If we do the whole, if we talk about all the games that other people we know
But they're all still playing World of Warcraft.
I was about to bring up World of Warcraft.
They're still playing it, even though it's no different than Icarium.
But Icarium, it was like, oh, this game's cool. And I was like, all right. And I made an account. I logged in, and I was looking. I was thinking, all right, if this game's good, then there's going to be some strategy. So I looked in the forums, and I tried to read a little bit about what strategies there were. And I discovered that it didn't matter what you did ever.
Yeah, pretty much. It started out where the game was kind of interesting in that, it's like a web game. I don't have to sit there for hours and hours playing it. I just visit the website occasionally, and then I click on a few things, and then I can leave and then come back a little bit later, Basically, log in, spend all my resources, log out, come back like that night, maybe twice a day.
See, I didn't even think of it from the game perspective. I thought, all right, Either this is a trick to get the sunk cost fallacy and use it to make money off of people, or it's a legitimate person trying to make something cool. So what I did is I read the terms of service, and I determined immediately that this game was designed solely to hook you in, and once you get to the point where you'd feel bad about abandoning everything you've built, is about the point where it really sucks to keep playing unless you pay for some little conveniences.
Yeah. I pretty
Also,
much.
the terms of service are complete bullshit in terms I don't want to get into how awful they are.
Yeah, after a day or two, I sort of realized that the game was pretty much just, click, wait for things to level up, click, wait for things to level up, and there was the main problem with the game is there's no losing. So if there's no way to lose, you just slowly approach it, and there's no winning either. It's like, how do you win? There is no winning. It's like
I think we've learned there's a very famous movie that taught us very much so, how to win at games like Icarium. The only winning move is not to play.
Yeah. Basically,
That's the second time in a week I've quoted that movie.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that game, I discovered it was dumb in like a few days, and then I stopped playing it a few days after that.
But I like how you can kind of see the trend of the classic graph of innovators, early adopters, the mainstream, the trailing edge, and you saw it in the crew and in the forums. It was like, oh, we're going to play this game, and then all the cool people in the forums, and everyone in the forums, but then all the people who started playing it quit, and then there's this kind of trailing off, and there's a few people who are sticking with it to the end.
Yeah. Those are the same people playing World of Warcraft, I think.
Or Pokemon.
That's the main problem, is that, like, what kind of game doesn't have an end like that? I mean, if it's a role-playing...
I don't know. See, it depends. I would like a game that didn't have an end. Like Civ 2, I would usually keep playing well after the game said, hey, you're done. Here's your score.
Yeah, but you had a goal. Like, if you took over the world...
Actually, I was usually really pissed if I took over the world, because that there was nothing left to do.
Exactly. There's an end. There's a point at which, even if if it's not even if the game doesn't pop up and say game over, it's like, there is nothing more for me here.
It's like SimCity. All right, I have filled the last square with the best arcology.
Yes, I have the entire board filled with arcologies. There's electricity and water everywhere. Everything is perfect. What could I possibly do now?
And at that point, it's not even fun to make the disasters happen. You see the arcologies fall down.
Yeah, and they don't even sort of fall down in a cool way. They just sort of go boom.
Yeah, that's one thing that the SimCity games always lacked, was the ability to zoom in on individual citizens panicking.
I think the newer SimCities that we never played have that, because SimCity 2000 is the last one we played.
Yeah, because I think that was the best one in terms of a simulation game of a city.
Yeah. Anyway.
Plus, I've heard the newest SimCity is like the crappiest crap that ever crapped.
I have no idea.
I've heard
I'm going to
that.
try out the Civilization Revolutions for the DS. That's what I'm going to try.
I'm excited about that. I'll admit it.
We'll see.
All right, so
I'm not confident. It could suck, but I wouldn't be disappointed if it sucked, because I have a low expectation.
I think it has a better chance of not sucking than Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which I guess in my heart, I expected the DS game to be awful. Like, I knew in my heart. It's kind of like, I want to believe in cool things, but at the same time, I have logic, and the logic says, no. And I believed, okay, this game's going to be awesome, but my heart knew, and I lied to myself. I knew that game was going to suck, and I spent money on it, and I got it, and I played it, and I went, I was right, except that I lied to myself. So I was wrong. But I was right in the end, but I have $40 less. I don't know. That's all I had to say about that. I got a non-video game news. It's related.
My news is also non-video game.
It's related tangentially in that we talk about this a lot on Monday, and we talk about it a lot on Thursday. Don't talk about it so much on Tuesday, but a lot of you gamers out there with your Xboxing and your PlayStation 3s have the HD TVs, and you need cable to hook up the HD TVs to your boxes.
You just use an HDMI cable. The end of story.
Monster cables are crap. Just in case you didn't know,
an HDMI cable is a digital cable. That means you either have a cable that works or a cable that doesn't work. If the cable works, it's just as good as every other cable that works. If you can get an HDMI cable for $1 that is long enough, I guess the length is different, right? And it works. And then someone else has an HDMI cable that's $500, is the same length, and also works, there is no difference in performance between the two cables. None. Zero.
Even further, if you have analog cables, Monster cables are not better than pretty much
Coat
lead
hangers.
cords. Nothing. There is no human perceptible difference, and in fact, a lot of people I've seen say that they're actually worse because they're made kind of shoddily.
All right.
But Monster has a habit of selling cables to people who are uninformed or stupid.
Yep.
And pursuant to this, they also have a policy of finding anyone who might compete with them in any way and throwing vague legal threats at them until they go away.
Yeah, they've had quite a history of, threatening people with lawsuits and then sort of settling.
Well, it just so happens that they tried to sue someone over at Blue Jeans Cable. They sent one of those, "You're violating our patents and our
Does Blue
trademarks
Jeans
and-"
Cable sell bullshit cables also, or real cables?
I don't know, I didn't even look, but I have respect for this guy regardless. The guy who runs Blue Jean Cables.
I'm going to look for Blue Jean Cables.
Because the deal is they sent him this, "You're violating our patents and our copyrights, and we're going to sue you for everything, and you should shut down immediately."
Let's see.
I don't know what kind of voice that was I was doing. I guess that's what Monster Cables sounds like to me. But he responded with a letter that you should read in its entirety. You know how you're watching someone who has never played a video game in their life, trying to play, like, I don't know, Soul Calibur against the person who won the most recent Soul Calibur tournament? Or watching someone who doesn't understand how to add 1 and 1, debating a mathematician, like seeing someone owned so thoroughly and so utterly, to see such a one-sided engagement, much like what would happen if you were really good at One Must Fall 2097 in the news report afterward.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a Blue Jeans Cable. His cables are reasonably priced.
Oh, well, huh. I never would have expected that, considering that this guy seems smart and rational and cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he responded with a very long letter, explaining, one, that he used to be a lawyer, a good lawyer for a long time.
And now he makes cables.
Because there's a lot of money in cables.
I guess there is, but
And beyond
kind of
that,
a weird switch, like lawyering, cabling.
I don't know, there's a stock guy at my work who also is a chef.
That's okay.
But lawyer cable isn't?
No.
Why not? Oh, anyway. So this letter is so wonderful to read, as it, bit by bit, you ever see a forum post that's so bad and so misinformed that you want to just, like, take it sentence by sentence and attack each sentence on its own and just destroy it as much as you can. This lawyer does this, and it's a beautiful thing to behold. I'm gonna follow this to its bitter, horrible end, because Monster Cable they're screwed. If they ignore this and they give up on this guy, the internet will know, and people will start to realize, hopefully, that their cables are not what they say they are. And if they actually go forward with trying to sue this guy, they're fucked.
The thing is, if you read the actual thing the guy wrote, I read almost the whole thing, he didn't actually attack, Monster for any sort of false advertising.
Not yet. He implied it heavily, though. He basically said, regardless of the many, 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 many points I have made above, know that if you pursue action against me, I will bring up many, 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 many as yet unstated and obvious defenses.
Yeah, but most of the thing he actually wrote was talking about how your patents are untenable, and wow, you're basically saying that I'm infringing upon you because I made an RCA cable, and all the things that you're basically patenting are common to all RCA cables.
I like particularly where he points out that they said he violated multiple different trademarks, but each of those trademarks was so different from the other trademarks.
It's like if I made knives and you made knives, and I sued you because your knife was sharpened on one side.
It's not even like that. It's like if I said, I'm suing you because you violate these 5 trademarks. I have a trademark on a knife with a red handle, on a knife with a blue handle, and a knife with a green handle. and it's like, I cannot have infringed upon all of those. It's wonderful to behold.
Anyway, this guy will sell you a 10-foot XLR cable for $33.50. Is that good?
That's okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
If it's quality, that's a great deal.
It seems like it's pretty quality. It's
Anyway.
balanced.
Well, of course it is. All right, that's all I got. I just wanted to point out, I guess I haven't brought it up on Wednesday. I'm sure I will at some point. Don't buy fancy digital cables. They're all the same.
Don't buy the cheapest cables you can possibly find for everything, no matter what. Can you think of any instance where you'd want to pay more
for digital cables?
I don't know. Even for analog cables, you can buy the cheap ones. It doesn't matter.
if you're running, say, a long audio run, right? In an electronically noisy room, you gotta get shielded cables. It's very expensive.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess if you're also doing like some sort of live musical thing, you might want better cables.
Yes,
too.
or if they're gonna be in a public place being stepped on or anything like that.
Yeah, then you need sturdier cables. But for your little home entertainment center, just buy cheap cables.
And if you think you can tell the difference, well,
you can't.
anyway, that's all I got.
You should read the article then that talks about how the people thought that the same wine with the more expensive price label on it tasted better than the same wine with.
I think the Penn and Teller with a bullshit show where they did the water.
Yeah, it was all hose water, but they said, "Oh, this water is $50 fancy water."
Or that coat hanger study where they showed that people couldn't tell the difference between a coat hanger and a monster cable.
All right, so do you remember the last time we were at UberCon, like 3-something years ago? It was a while ago.
That was the time where we interviewed Luke Crane, but I got super drunk, and then we lost the power cable to the compressor, and we
Yep.
drove home in a blizzard.
Yep, that one.
That was an awesome con.
Do you already know what my news is now, Mister? Didn't know what my news was?
Oh, you're talking about the mouse guard game.
Yeah, that's right. I can't believe you didn't think of it before. Anyway, before we interviewed Luke Crane, right? We sort of like, we were hanging out at the bar a little bit, then we sort of hung out in the hotel lobby in some chairs, talking stuff.
Yeah, because Luke Crane and his crew, it's funny. He's a rock star game master. And I say that a lot, and Scott says it a lot, but he had like an entourage following him.
Well, no, it was pretty much him and Tor. Those other people were from Archaea Studio Press. You might have been drunk and not realize this.
No, but like wherever he went, like Tor would follow him, and then they would follow him, and it was like if you look from a distance, you'd see like one guy walking, and then this crowd like would up and follow.
It wasn't really an entourage. He was talking to some people who were unrelated to him. Doing business dealings and such. Just making chit-chat. It wasn't an entourage. Anyway, the point is, Archaea Studio Press are the people who publish The Mouse Guard, the comic book. We did an episode on it, didn't we?
It's fantastic.
Yeah, if you haven't read Mouse Guard,
It's all about the Weasel Sanctuary.
You don't
I'm
even
so
have to-
up in that business.
you can just go to your local bookstore or Amazon, and the hardcover of the whole first Mouse Guard series is now available. How easy is that, right? Mouse Guard Fall 1152. Of course, I'm reading Mouse Guard Winter 1152
because you're all cool.
because I'm cooler than you. And Mouse Guard is by David Peterson. Well, when we were sitting around with Luke Crane and the Archaea Studio Press guys, I was like, oh man, Mouse Guard is awesome. You guys are cool. And then Luke Crane was like, yeah, if you guys ever want a Mouse Guard RPG, I'd totally make that. And well, today, today, they announced, what do you know? He made that. When we weren't looking. I don't know if it took him all that time or if it took a while for him to get the deals done or who knows what, but that idle chit-chat became reality, and today here it is. Let me read for you the press copy, the ad copy.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh. In August, so basically Otakon times, PAX times, it will be everyone's duty to join the Mouse Guard and defend the mouse territories against predators and dangers in the role-playing game for the Mouse Guard comic book series. The game is intended for all ages and levels of game-playing experience. Designed by award-winning game designer Luke Crane, is based on a simplified burning wheel. I'm paraphrasing now. Includes art and extensive background material on the mouse territories, specially prepared by David Peterson, the Mouse Guard creator. 240-page hardcover, $30. That's it.
All right.
Guaranteed buying?
This is definitely going to be a good game.
Duh. Can you imagine, though? Think about this. It's such a perfect role-playing game because it's like, okay, we're mices, right? You got the inter-mice intrigue.
I believe the technical term is Mises.
Mises. You go outside your little Mies fort, okay? You crawl around on the ground. An owl shows up. You don't have to worry about like monsters and stuff. You don't have the unrealistic bullshit of random encounters.
I think
you have the totally make sense random encounters. Of course there's going to be animals in the woods.
I think what works more to the game's credit is that the setting of Mouse Guard is very neat.
That too.
I mean, I don't want to say cool. It's really neat, and I like it. And it fits kind of with the burning wheel, like the base burning wheel setting that you're expected to kind of use. So
Yep.
it's solid.
Also, the book is going to be 8x8, like a little square book, the same as the Mouse Guard books themselves.
Ooh.
So you can put it right up there next to your other Mouse Guard hardcovers, right in between your Burning Wheel books and your Mouse Guard books. It'll go right in there. So yeah, guaranteed buying in August. I'll remind you again in August. Maybe we'll ask Luke Crane about it. Maybe.
Maybe. We haven't gotten a lot of... If you have any questions for Luke Crane, keep posting them in the forum, because we're going to do an interview whenever we have time.
We should just make the Luke Crane Burning Wheel podcast and just talk to him like once a month.
That's not that bad of an idea, actually.
Yeah, like 15 minutes of Luke Crane every month.
That's not bad at all.
Not really, no.
Huh.
Huh.
Anyway. But anyway, things of the day. On July 31st, 1995, something was released into the world. Something frightening. Something that...
Perhaps a video game.
A video game from a day...
Let's see, 1995.
When
so
video games were very different from how they are now.
It was pre-internets, right? So, and in 95...
It wasn't really pre-internet.
Well, I mean, it could have been...
I had a cable modem.
It was either a very early PlayStation game or a late SNES game or maybe a Sega Saturn game.
It was definitely a PC game.
Then it must have been an earlier sort of mid CD-ROM game abouts.
That, in fact, was the era.
It might have been like MechWarrior 2.
Of the multimedia game. Now, this was not the first kind of multimedia era game, or the digitized games. A lot of people called it.
MechWarrior 2 did indeed come out in 95. I'm no fool.
It was probably, I would say, I mean, people are going to quibble and say, no, technically this was the first digitized game and blah, 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 blah. And there was that game on the SNES. So there were two games like that on the SNES. But on the PC, Under a Killing Moon was the first multimedia with real actors game that people knew
Pandora
about.
Directive?
No. That was the sequel.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
That game was awful. Under a Killing Moon was at least okay, because it had James Earl Jones in it and Margot Kidder.
Didn't the other one also have James Earl Jones?
I don't know. I never even played it. I'm just casting.
I played the demo.
I'm just casting aspersions all about it. I assume it sucked.
Who knows if it sucked? I played the demo.
Anyway.
Tex Murphy. Oh, yeah.
In 95, Phantasmagoria was released. If you do not remember Phantasmagoria, this game was awful. But at the same time, it was touted as a revolutionary, genre-changing, like, the world of gaming will never be the same. This game was hyped up like you wouldn't freaking believe.
It was super hyped up.
This was an adult game. This not adult in the porn way, but adult for a mature audience, and not in the mature porn way. But how come every way we have of saying something is for a mature audience implies pornography?
I don't know.
I mean, if you go to any convention, video games, whatever, and they say, yeah, that's the mature gaming room, you know it's porn games. If they say that's the adult showing room, you know it's porn. It's never anything but porn.
Yeah.
But this game, I played this game all the way through. So did my mom and my little brother. My dad took one look at it and said, why do you want to watch a video that's 2 inches by 3 inches and blurry? And I said, Dad, it's a game. He said, no, it's not. It's not a game. Show me the game. Show me what you're doing to play. And I'm like, well, I'm watching this video right now. He's like, that's a game. No, but look, now I get to click on stuff. Oh, so that little cursor changes when you're over something to click on? Yeah. So what do? Click on all the things? Oh, that's a great game.
A lot like that Monty Python game I played.
I had that game. I had 2 of those games.
I only had 1.
Phantasmagoria was amazing.
No, it wasn't. Amazingly bad.
In that one, I forgot until recently how frighteningly violent this game is. This game is just a series of poorly acted snuff films.
It's silly violent.
But while it's silly, it's also super bloody and super violent.
Yeah, but it's like bright red blood with the zipper hanging out. You know, it's not like E.T. the Killer.
Yeah, it depends, though, because there's the one scene where he breaks the woman's neck, and it's actually just really disturbing and not even funny.
Yeah.
But the story, whatever. One thing this game had I want to point out is that the end sequence was actually kind of cool. You know how in a lot of games now there's like, there'll be an FMV, but oh shit, press A.
Oh yeah, the much hated by zero punctuation.
This game had that before all those other games had that.
Well, it might not. Who knows if it was the first game to have that? But certainly, this game had it before it was a huge trend.
And the cool thing it didn't have the whole game, which was on 7 CDs, I point out.
It still doesn't beat Wing Commander 4. How many was that?
This did not, I don't even know. You did not have that until the end of the game. The end of the game was like this 10-minute, 20-minute long FMV where you had to do that through the whole thing. And let me tell you, there were like a billion violent ways to die. But what I have for you here...
Much in the style of Shadowgate.
Shadowgate. Death. What I have for you here, my thing of the day, are 2 examples of video from this game. No, 3. 3 examples. Because 1 is not safe for work. It is one of the death scenes. I point out the acting. It is most excellent. 2, especially note how the guy swaggers in. Words cannot express the
Wow,
acting.
Phantasmagoria was 7 CDs, but Wing Commander 4 was only 6 CDs.
Ooh.
So it actually beats it out by 1.
But the next video I have is the original trailer that was used to hype this game up.
Where, like E3 or something?
I don't even know. All I know is that the people making this game thought this game was serious business.
I'm sure they did, because at the time, you just look at it and go, holy shit.
And you know what? At the time, I did, and so did my mom, because we looked and we're like, wow, this game is really violent, and video games were never like that before. Wow.
But it wasn't. It's really a video game.
Technically it was. There were puzzles.
Well, then technically YouTube's a video game. I mean, it's interactive, right? You click play and stop.
There were actually puzzles. The puzzles were like, all right, I need blood to finish this horrible ritual at the end of the game. Oh, look, I have a piece of glass. I will cut my wrist with the glass to drop blood on the plate.
That's a wonderful game. All right.
Yes.
My thing of the day.
Oh, my third video is the opening movie. It's epic. Anyway.
My thing of the day. This has been on everywhere on the internet. This is like all over the place. If you haven't seen this video by the time you're listening to this, then you are not connected to the internet. You are not an internet person, and you need to step it up. If you have seen this video...
I had not seen the video.
No, right.
Of course, I was at work, working, and then I came home.
I'm sure if we had like waited 10 more minutes before starting the show, you would have found the video.
I think I can tell you a different measure that's very close to what Scott was saying. This video is not easily found near the top of Dig yet, as of the recording of this show. And thus, one more note that Dig is no longer... I mean, Dig got really crappy and is almost useless now. But at least it had stuff that was internet-y real early. Now it doesn't even have that. It's like the signal-to-noise ratio has hit 0.
Yep.
Anyway, I digress.
This video has been everywhere on the internet. I mean, like, I saw it at like 3 different sites, but it's still a good video. There's a reason it got so popular today. And it's worth watching if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, well, then you're just going to hear me talk about it. Basically, what they did is they took an RC car in a parking garage, and they put some things hanging off the side of the RC car, right? Like little dangly bits. And they drove the RC car past a bunch of wine bottles with various amounts of liquid in them. And when the dangly bits hit the wine bottles, they would make a noise, And so they would line up and space the bottles out to create music and then drive the car past all the bottles at a steady rate, to get the music to play.
Clever girl.
Yeah. And at the end of the song, they actually put wine bottles on both sides of the car to sort of hit, go faster than you normally could with the notes. And they did the Mario song, which is why it's a Tuesday thing of the day. And really, they did a much better job. Like, I was thinking it'd be like, doot, 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 doot. But it's actually like, wow, these must be Japanese people. The amount of, and they
it could just be college kids at a tech school.
No, you get to see, I think it's Japanese people.
I haven't actually seen it yet. I'll admit
I'm
that.
pretty sure it's Japanese people anyway. It might be... I can't really tell. The video is sort of grainy.
We know it's not South Korean because it's not.
Oh, actually, at the end, the URL is Excite China. So I think they're Chinese people.
I was going to say, I know it's not South Korea because it didn't involve StarCraft.
Yeah. So Chinese people did this in their parking garage, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So awesomeness.
So when I was a kid, there was a video game on the Super Nintendo. In fact, this game actually had a sequel. And the sequel was different, but not better, to the point that I liked both of these games and played them both all the time. And not just by myself, but with my brother and friends. I would play these games constantly. hours and hours and hours we would sit in my brother's room where the SNES was, playing these games, yelling at each other, getting super into it. These games were called Aerobiz. This game was a simulator of global commercial airlines and the management of such from the perspective of the CEO.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it was sort of like Sim Airplane Company. Like, imagine if you were not only the president of, say, I don't know, Delta Airlines, but you were actually every single employee of Delta Airlines except for the pilots and the stewardesses.
See, not even that. No, you're really just the CEO. You have all these other advisors that do all the real work.
They don't actually do work. They just tell you what to do, and you
don't.
put them in places, and they make numbers change. But you don't. You actually have to make all the decisions.
But all the decisions you make are the highest level of decisions. Like, they'll advise, well...
Yeah, how much should a ticket cost from here to here? That's not a very high-level decision.
No, you don't even specify direct prices. You specify how much are we going to mark this up.
And
I'll tell you this, what you want to do is mark everything up all the fucking way. But most of the decisions you make are like, all right, it's the third quarter and we're down in Asia and international travel routes. And because of the war going on in Africa, it's really hard. Like, we're having trouble getting people to fly out to whatever. Well, I think we should do an advertising campaign stressing the wide network of our blah. I think we should buy this bankrupt hotel in Dubai and revamp it and then try to get people to fly there. Well, I think we should buy this charter airline that's going out of business and then sell off all its stock. And then you get to decide which of these things you want to do. And then you pick routes and you do things. And am I going to go with Airbus or I'm going to go with, I don't know, DC? But the DC-9s are coming out soon. But maybe I'll go with that discount.
Maybe I'll go to discount Russian airplane.
Tupolev made the shittiest fucking airplanes. Good God. And you know what? They weren't even that cheap. Like, there was no reason to use those shitty. I'd always play and be like, oh man, perestroika. Now I can buy from Eastern Bloc companies. Wow. Everything they have is awful. Awful, awful, awful. And they pollute. You know what, though? I often use them anyway because eventually they'd come to me and offer me like 60% discounts if I buy in bulk. So I'd buy like 40 Tupolev, like TU, whatever piece of shits. And I just use those in like Africa where no one cared anyway.
What when they crashed?
You know what? I didn't even care. The thing is, I love these games. And you think it's just, Rim's being weird. No, me and my brother would play these games all the time with our friends, and we get super into them. And I've never in my life met a single other human being who is liked these games.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of people hating the game. It's just a matter of it was sort of an obscure game that like you bought for the SNES, but no one else bought for the SNES.
I would post something else. I've never even met anyone who thought a game like that would be interesting.
No.
I tried to get Scott and everyone to play it in RIT, and they'd sit down with me, and we'd play for like 10 minutes, and then they'd say, this game is boring and stupid.
Well, it's not really, to be honest, it's not a stupid game. It's just the play is really slow, and you don't get a lot of indications if you're doing well or poorly.
Yes, you do. You get the yearly marketing reports and the quarterly marketing reports that aren't as full featured, but give you a nice rough outline. And you get to...
Yeah, but it's like, unless you played the game a lot, you don't, I mean, like, I see, I'm profiting, hooray, but you're profiting more. So it's like, oh...
Well, that's because I made an international route that no one else had, and thus, with my monopoly, I raised prices.
Yeah, see, it's the kind of shit that, nobody... bothers. No.
It wasn't really a game of knowledge of the game. It was just a game of looking at boring charts and making marketing decisions based on those boring charts and sending people to negotiate for airport slots.
It's not a game people hate on. It's just a game that you were way into that was really obscure and not many people know or care about. I
feel sad because a lot of games that I liked or I'm good at or I think are cool, no one else likes.
Yeah. I don't have too many games like that.
You have one very in particular because you've been bitching about it lately.
Well, because I bought Yoshi's Cookie on the Virtual Console.
Yoshi's Cookie is a terrible game.
Yoshi's Cookie is a fantastic game.
It's not fun.
It's great.
It's a weak... All those puzzle to pawn kind of games are 100 times better than Yoshi's Cookie.
No, listen, Yoshi's Cookie, the multiplayer is, I think, if you're looking at puzzle game multiplayers, right? Number one is probably Tetris. Number 2 is probably Dr. Mario. And number 3 is probably Yoshi's Cookie.
I highly doubt that.
Oh, yeah. What's better than Yoshi's Cookie, then?
Puzzle Nippon?
No, not really.
Totally.
No.
Or Puzzle Bobble?
No.
Puyo Pop's not better.
No.
What about all those cool modes of Tetris?
Those are all just Tetris.
But they're slightly skewed.
That doesn't matter.
Nah.
Anyway, Yoshi's Cookie, right? I'm not gonna tell you the single player. The multiplayer is really cool because the way it works is you have everyone has, I think, a 5x5 grid. Although, yeah, I think it's a 5x5 grid. And the 5x5 grid is filled with cookies of all different shapes and sizes. And you want to line up 5 in a row of the same kind of cookie horizontally or vertically, right? And every time you make a row, like a Yoshi cookie shows up. It's like, it's a cookie with Yoshi that's shaped like Yoshi's head. And you also get some points. And you have this like thermometer that fills up as you start to fill up the screen, okay? And so what you can do is the only movements you're allowed to make is you can sort of rotate any horizontal or vertical row to the left or to the right or up or down. So, and that's all you can do. So, when you move one cookie, yeah, okay, you're moving 4 other cookies along with it. And that's, so it's sort of difficult to like arrange the cookies exactly the way you want. But sort of like those sliding puzzles, it's like, well, if I want to get this over there, I got to move all these other things around. And so it's sort of a race in one fashion of who can line up cookies the fastest. But there's an additional strategy on top of that in which if you line up 5 Yoshi cookies, a magic power will happen. And the magic power is determined by what it says at the top of the screen. So one player is red and one player is blue, right? And the magic power either has a red ring or a blue ring around it. So if it has a red ring, that means it will happen to the red player. If it has a blue ring, it'll happen to the blue player. So if you line up the Yoshi cookies at, say, a bad time, right, you might actually give points to the other guy or take away points from yourself. So you sort of have to wait to use the power at the right time. But if you're waiting there to line up your 5th Yoshi cookie, right, you got 5 Yoshi cookies, you're just waiting to move the last one into place for the power to change, the other guy could be making a whole bunch of lines and scoring while you're sitting there and waiting for this thing to change.
I don't know. I much prefer my marketing graphs.
But on top of that, right, okay, so I'm not going to wait for it to change. I'm going to actually try to complete lines of cookies, to try to keep my score going up. And then when the power changes, then I'll line up the Yoshi cookies really quick. The problem with that is that, okay, you keep making lines, you keep getting more Yoshi cookies. Eventually, you're going to line them up no matter what. You're going to, because moving one cookie moves 4 others. It gets pretty hairy in there managing all them cookies. And it's a really good multiplayer puzzle game. The single player is okay, but not as great. But the multiplayer is really hot, but no one ever wants to play it with me.
Yeah, see, I think what I notice is that there's a trend, and I know a lot of gamers have games like this, where for whatever reason, a game tickles your fancy, and you really like it. So you play it enough to become non-trivially good at it. Like, you become really good at it. But no one else really gets into it. So you never really get to use all these intricate skills and things you've figured out or care about. And the worst thing is, if you ever convince someone to play with you, you're so good that they're not going to invest the crazy amount of time that you invested to get that good at the game. So you pretty much have made a self-limiting world where unless you happen to run into the one person out there who independently cared about that game as much as you did and achieved a similar level of skill, you're never, ever, ever going to be able to show this off.
Yeah, it's like you found a great game, but it's either hated or so unpopular, right? That
Like
if you invest in it and there's a multiplayer aspect, there's no one to play against because
Like
it's
air
so
hockey.
unpopular.
Air hockey is a big example of this. If you actually try to get good at air hockey, you'll pretty much immediately find out that you're now 1,000 times better than everyone you know. And no one will ever play air hockey with you again. And you got to go find those like league air hockey players who are difficult to find.
Yeah, they're not that difficult to find. They emailed us and we did an air hockey episode.
Yeah, but it's difficult to like get them together to play air hockey with you conveniently. Or like you're never gonna find anyone who's gonna play Yoshi's Cookie with you. Got to get them to come to the house or go to their house, bust open the Yoshi's Cookie, sit down, and have your death match.
Yeah. Oh, Yoshi's Cookie.
Yeah. I guess my sad thing is that I have a lot of games like that.
I don't have. I can't really. I'm sure I might have other games like that, but I can't think of them. It's much because I guess people, they like. I'm more known
Well,
for not liking games that other people like.
There's
than I'm
battle
known...
lore, but you never even got good at that.
No, not really.
I don't think anyone can get good at it. I think it's random.
Nah. Oh yeah, let's see board games that I like that no one else likes.
You really, you were like, you bought battle lore. You're like, yeah, and I was like, wow, this game sucks.
Well, I'd heard so much great things about it, and I still think it's better than you think it is, but
No.
but it's not great.
But I always say I'll play it if you'll set it up.
Yeah, setup is very annoying.
Yeah.
I might have to
Yeah, it
return
is.
to my original plan of, well, it has a bunch of miniatures we can paint with or something.
But we're awful at that. You're always
So
trying to
that's
get us
what
to.
you could practice on shitty battle lore pieces.
You're always trying to get us to play the Egyptian slot machine.
I'm not always trying to get you to play the
You always
Egyptian slot
suggest
machine.
it.
Kinda. Actually, the Dracula game, I could actually, I whenever I suggest it, it's like it's sort of half sarcastically, but half I kind of like.
I only like it if I'm Dracula and if I don't have to set it up or tear it down.
Well, it's like I really don't like the combat, and I don't like when the game takes too long. But I really like Dracula's hidden movement and the chase for Dracula. I like that part a lot.
We've debated a lot how to take that Dracula game and make it really good because it's so close.
So it's like I kind of want to play it just for that, hidden card movement part. That's really awesome.
I just have this problem a lot more with Scott with video games. Like Gemfire and
Oh, that's another example where it's not because people hate Gemfire, it's because it was an obscure Game Gear game, and you were probably one of the only people who bought
Scott, it was on the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo.
What's the Game Gear one?
Crystal Warriors.
Oh, that's the same one though. It's the same kind of thing.
Not
isn't it?
even close.
No?
Crystal Warriors for the Game Gear was basically Advance Wars with fantasy pieces.
So what was the Gemfire?
No.
No, I said so what was the Gemfire?
Gemfire was the game where you have a map of something that's vaguely Britain.
Oh, right, that one.
Now,
Okay.
Gemfire is from a whole class of games.
Wait, what was because, see, Gemfire I don't like. I tried to play it, I didn't like it. But what was that PC one that was a TSR game?
Oh, Fantasy
Empires? I actually like that one. That one,
No, you don't. You think you do.
I liked it when we played it.
You liked it because you did not play it long enough. I invested countless months into that game.
I played it for maybe a half hour.
I am probably better than any living human being at that game. Let me tell you.
I liked it for a half hour.
Let me tell you.
And
Had we continued that game that we had started with all of our friends, it would have taken weeks of daily play for it to reach its bitter, bitter conclusion. You would have ended play a broken man. Let me tell you, Gemfire is a really good game, though. You played it for like 5 minutes and said,
I played it a few more times than that.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did,
And you
with the ROMs.
and you didn't read the instruction book. You didn't know what you were doing.
I don't have the instruction book.
That's the problem. See, there's this whole class of games. There was one that simulated the Revolutionary War in the U.S., and there was Gemfire. They're all made by the same people. They all look the same. And they were games there's territories, and they're all numbered. You look at these games, you go, oh, it's one of those games. Because there's always
it looks a lot like Nobunaga's Ambition and Romance of the Three
believe
Kingdoms.
you mean Nobunga's Ambition.
Right, and Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Those are the same kind of game.
But Gemfire, like these games on the SNES were like the best implementation that could have been done with the technology at the time. And they're a lot better than those other games. And they were games of, like, there'd be like 5 factions, and you have to deal with, like, the crown, and then you have your, like, vassals that control different territories, and you invest in agriculture or defense, and you raise armies, and then you fight with each other with the politics, and it was a really fun game. I've beaten every possible scenario with every possible family and gotten every possible ending.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Including
I didn't think you went that far.
I did, because
Was that when you were a punk kid?
No, that was when I was living in Fishkill.
Oh, God.
The thing is, I've never, ever, other than when I was a kid, been able to play this game against another human being. No one has ever accepted a play with this game.
Yeah. See, I'm having a hard time because it's like you refer to it as like games you like that no one else likes. And that sort of implies that it's because you like a game that, most people are, hate. Like, what's a game a lot of people hate? Let me try to think.
Zelda 2.
No, Daikatana, right? So if I like Daikatana, which I don't like Daikatana.
Daikatana wasn't that bad.
It's pretty bad.
It's just, there were expectations that it did not meet.
Fine, a Fester's Quest.
That game was bad.
Okay, so if I liked Fester's Quest, that would be I like a game that no one else likes. But if I like,
Gemfire.
Gemfire. It's not. No one's hating on Gemfire.
But I didn't say that.
They just don't know about it.
No one else likes.
Yeah.
If you don't know about a game, you don't like it.
I know, but it's sort of this sort of false
I'll even make it better.
there.
No one will play it because
Well, no one will play it is different even still. I mean,
no, because you'll go out there. Gemfire is trivial to get. I know a lot of you are going to think, oh, and you're going to get the ROM. You're going to be like, all right, I'll play this game. I can be all cool like Rim thinks, and I'll go play this game, and I'll email and be like, yeah, I played that game. You're not really going to play it. You're not going to learn about it. You're not going to Yoshi's Cookie it and figure out the strategy. You're not going to think about how awesome the game would be if you played it with another human being.
yeah.
Because the game sucks against the AI, because the AI is stupid. You'll figure out how to beat the AI like that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm also weird in that I really, really like all those second sequels. Like, my favorite Mario game is almost Mario 2. It ends up being Mario 3, but it's almost Mario 2. My favorite Zelda game is still Zelda 2. My favorite Castlevania game is far and away actually, it's the DS one, but number 2, right after it, is Simon's Quest. I fucking love that game.
You've all the worst ones.
That game is great.
I mean, Mario 2, / Doki Doki Panic is a good game.
No, don't say that. Doki Doki Panic was a terrible game.
Well, I'm saying, I said, I'm just using the Doki Doki Panic to let you know which Mario 2 I'm talking about.
Well, because no one knows Mario 2 is Mario 2. They know it as Mario 2J or the Lost Levels. Which,
Right.
by the way, sucked balls.
Yeah, but Mario 2 is better than... Well, Mario 2 USA is better than Mario 2J, and it's better than some other Mario games like Mario's Time Machine or Mario is Missing and some others. But other than that, Mario 3, Mario World, Mario 1, all better than Mario 2. It is way down there. Castlevania 2,
Awesome.
probably the worst Castlevania.
What? All right. Have you fucking played? How many Castlevanias have you played? There's
1, 2, 4.
Wait. What about 3?
I didn't play that.
You've never played 3.
No.
You know anything about it?
It looks a lot like 1.
Not really.
Anyway, 1, 2, 4, 2 DS games, and the Genesis one, Dracula
I think
X.
the only failing...
And Castlevania 64. Oh, wait, no. Castlevania 64 is the worst Castlevania. Castlevania 2 is the second worst.
I think the only failing of Castlevania 2 is that the boss battles are weak.
I think it's just not good.
It's a really good game.
No.
It's really fun.
No.
And Zelda 2 is fucking epic.
Zelda 2 is a good game. It is probably the worst Zelda game.
What?
Okay, Minish Cap is worse. And Majora's Mask is worse. It is the third worst Zelda game.
Actually, I didn't really enjoy those like Game Boy Color ones that much.
I like the game. I like all portable Zelda except Minish Cap a lot.
Minish Cap would have been fun if I hadn't played other Zelda games before. Like if I hadn't really played other Zelda games.
Yeah, if that's the first Zelda, if you're gonna play Minish Cap, make it the first Zelda game you ever play. That way, it's like awesome.
Yeah, because it is awesome if you haven't played other Zelda
But
games.
I like those Game Boy ones like the most. Maybe.
The thing is, I think what it was is Zelda 2, unlike most other Zeldas, had a couple of these really, really epic tasks in terms of the sheer amount of pain and effort. And
the pain is what made it unfun.
No, the pain was awesome because pain directly translates into accomplishment. I mean, if you beat the Silver Surfer, the pain is not worth it. If you're not going to beat the Silver Surfer, don't play it because the pain will only add up and you will never get the end. If you're willing to beat the Silver Surfer, then all of that pain turns into glorious, glorious triumph.
You just wasted like how much time in your life?
Well, that's a bad example because it would take most of an adult's life, active life, to beat the Silver Surfer legitimately. But Zelda 2 had the hammer. Going after the hammer is one of the many cherished memories
if you
of my
don't
childhood.
already if you're not practiced, I could get the hammer pretty much every time.
If you have not already gotten the hammer and know how to get the hammer, you will have that moment where you get to a screen and you've been playing for like 2 hours and you have 1 life left. And that screen looks different because there's all these pillars in the background. It's really tall. And you see the hammer. And in front of it, you see those fucking red rhino guys with the maces.
It's one, upright red, like stark red alligator, and he doesn't have a mace. He's throwing axes at you
He's the
rapidly.
hardest guy, other than those jumpy knights at the end of the game.
He's pretty much one of the hardest guys, and if you get hit by those axes, you are fucked. Like,
And,
he's throwing axes at you rapidly. Like, imagine if I had I could just make hatchets appear out of the sky and then fling them at you like an Olympian throws the discus
Note
in rapid succession.
that your shield means nothing to him.
No, an axe, your shield is nothing.
And you probably, like, you'll be like, what do I do? What do I do? And you might have enough magic left to cast jump.
Yeah, maybe.
And I remember,
Or shield.
I got there.
Or fairy. No, fairy doesn't help you.
Well, it would, but you don't have enough magic for
Well,
that.
no, the fairy can't pick up the hammer.
Depends.
Uh,
Anyway, so I cast jump. I jump over him and I run, and there's the hammer, and I grab it, and Link is standing there holding up, going dee 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 dee.
Meanwhile, the axe guy is right next to Link, paused as it goes.
not even pause.
doo-doo-doo-doo.
As I grab the hammer, it hits me, and I die. Game over. I remember as a kid, I cried. I
remember.
No other Zelda game has ever made me cry except almost with sadness at a couple of points, but never with real world pain and desperation. My mother runs in, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" "The hammer!" Ah!
Because, I mean, come on. The game basically, right, limits you to this incredibly small area. And the only way out of the small area is if you get the hammer to break the rocks. But getting the hammer, you have to go on this epic quest through all these dangerous caves and this maze. And if you don't know your way through the maze, it can take you forever to get through the maze. And it's really, really hard and long. And then if you actually make it out with the hammer, suddenly the whole game opens up to you. Like, I can go places, yes!
And all just because it was so hard to get the hammer, you've been seeing these rocks the whole game. And then you finally get the
It says
hammer.
in the instruction book you need the hammer to break the rocks.
And after crying and I finally get the hammer, and I go to that rock, and I hit A, and the rock disappears, and I take a pause, and I take a step, and suddenly I'm in this new world.
It's like even Metroid. Imagine, like, if there were only like 10 doors that would open with the regular gun, and all the other doors are missile doors. And the missiles were like behind like 100 bosses.
Like, to the point that you would call your friend and say, "Hey, Joey, I'm going for the hammer. You want to watch?"
I got the missiles. Oh my God.
I had some of those late night calls. My friends like, "I found silver arrows." Oh, those were good days before I was demystified about everything in the world.
Video games have to be like that again.
I don't know how.
I don't know how either.
I think the moral is, does any of you out there play and or like Gemfire, Yoshi's Cookie, or Aerobiz, or if you're epic, Aerobiz Supersonic?
Supersonic, I think, is better than regular.
It was better in some ways, but they took the stock element out.
Good.
You couldn't buy stock in other airlines.
Good. There was less bullshit to worry about, and I could concentrate on the airplanes, which I have enough trouble concentrating on to begin with. Yeah. Are there any games that like you like that are just super obscure and no one's heard of,
or games that you like that everyone else gives you shit about?
Yeah.
Simon's Quest.
Yep. All right.
I think we're done. I'm actually kind of hungry now.
Me too. I'm real hungry. Cop out episode for the win.
Wasn't that cop out? We've had copper out episodes. Cop outer. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.